Paldea Evolved is almost here, and today we are looking at the Lightning-type Pokemon in the latest set. Welcome to Jank Play TCG. My name's Landon, and here we play Jank. And I'm going to be using the Justin Basil list. I feel like they've got the best art and translations combination, and this is the site I've been using this entire time. I do have a link to this down below, so feel free to check it out if you want. And, you know, I really appreciate all the work that Justin Basil does in on this site. It's really helpful, you know, especially for me. So, let's get into the Lightning-type Pokemon that we will be seeing in Paldea Evolved. First up, Pikachu. Of course it's Pikachu. Everyone loves Pikachu, right? And if you don't, why not? So, Pikachu has a single energy attack during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon's attacks do 20 less damage. It's better than nothing, I guess. I would rather a coin flip for a invincibility or something along those lines. I guess this not being on a coin flip is nice, but, you know, it's a 70 HP Pokemon. How often is 20 less damage going to be the deciding factor that keeps Pikachu alive long enough to evolve it into a Raichu? I'm not 100% sure about that. You know, for 2 energy, 30 damage with Pika Bolt, it's fine. Nothing too great about it. I mean, 30 damage isn't terrible, but, you know, just as Pikachu evolves into Raichu, there's not much to say about this Pikachu. There is a Pikachu EX, though, before we get into the Raichu, for a single colorless energy, Pika Punch for 30 damage, and then 2 lightning and a colorless dynamic bolt, 220 damage, flip a coin, if tails, discard all energy from this Pokemon. With this Pikachu EX only having 190 HP, probably not going to be surviving very long. Doing 220 damage is a good amount, but on a coin flip, it's all getting discarded, and even if you flip heads, the likelihood of Pikachu being KO'd is pretty high. So is 220 worth that, or is it worth playing different Pokemon which can also hit 220? You know, it's not too hard to get Lugia V-Star going with, you know, hitting, what is that, 220, 200, somewhere around there. And so Pikachu EX needing some extra help from Flaffy and everything. You do have the benefit of the weakness into Lugia, but I just don't think it's there. And then we have the Raichu that the above Pikachu would evolve into. And this Raichu, for a single colorless energy, Electro Charge, search your deck for up to 2 basic lightning energy and attach them to this Pokemon, shuffle your deck. This has the main flaw of you are attaching to the Raichu. It is a stage 1 Pokemon with an attack that attaches extra lightning energy, but to itself, so it just sits in the active, ready to be KO'd next turn. However, the second attack for 3 energy, 200 damage, discard all energy from this Pokemon, similar to the Pikachu EX above. However, this is a single prize Pokemon. So while you might be discarding all the energy, it is going to be KO'd, but you're only giving up 1 prize rather than the 2 prizes of Pikachu EX. I like Raichu a little bit more, but I still think the older Raichu that does, what is that, 140 for a single colorless energy if your opponent's used a V-Star, I think that is a little bit more relevant right now. So, yeah, nothing too special coming from the Pikachu side of things, I guess. Next up, we have Magnemite. For a single colorless energy, Magna Charge, attach up to 2 basic lightning energy cards from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon. Now, this is slightly better than Raichu, since you can use it to power up benched Pokemon. That's kind of my favorite thing about this. You have Magnemite in the active, 1 energy on it. You can get 2 from the discard onto your benched Pokemon, which is very nice, and then the Magnemite can be KO'd, and you still have the 2 energy on a bench Pokemon. So Magnemite's a little bit better than Raichu in that regard. And then for 2 energy, 20 damage, not much to write home about there. I'm not seeing its evolutions below here, so I'm assuming they're going to be filling in a different typing. Next up, we do have Voltorb. Voltorb sometimes has some fun stuff, sometimes it doesn't. This one probably doesn't. Let's take a look. 1 energy, 10 damage. 2 energy, 20 damage. No one really cares. Sorry, Voltorb. Electrode. 1 energy, 60 damage. 3 energy, 90. Even with like 2 energy, 90. Like, maybe that would be okay. But it being 3 energy, 90, I'm not loving this. The 90 HP for level ball, but even then, it's just not worth it in my opinion. So now we have the Shinx line. Let's go ahead and take a look. We have 2 Shinx to choose from. The first one has the ability Loud Howl. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your active spot, you may have your opponent switch their active with one of their benched Pokemon. It does give your opponent the control over what's going into the active, but it's still a way to kind of mess with their strategy a little bit. It's okay. It's not terrible. I just wouldn't be building a deck around this, in my opinion. But it also has a single energy attack for 10 damage. That doesn't really save it at all, but we'll have to compare it to the other Shinx here. The 40 HP does concern me, while the second Shinx has 70 HP, and it also has a single energy attack that does 30 damage. Flip a coin, if tails, this attack does nothing. I do like this second Shinx a bit more. I think 30 HP is significant enough. If it was only a difference of 10, I mean, it would depend on some other things in the meta, but I think a difference of 30 is quite a big deal, and I do like this second Shinx a bit more. Next up, we have Luxio with a single energy attack that does 30. No coin flip to see if it fails, so that's not bad. And then 3 energy, 60 damage. I mean, if Voltorb wasn't good enough for 3 energy with 90, there's no way this Luxio is going to be good enough. 3 energy, 60. Next up, we have Luxray with the ability Vibrant Flash. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your hand and you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, you may play this Pokemon onto your bench, which is kind of crazy. Being able to play a Stage 2 out just because your opponent may have taken 1 prize and you haven't taken any yet. And then to add to that, the 3 energy, 180 damage, even though it deals 20 damage to itself, that 180, I think is going to be really good, real important. Being able to one-hit KO Lugia, and just being able to one-hit KO some of these EXs, like a Pikachu EX, going to be pretty big for this. And add to the fact that you don't have to play the basic in the Stage 1, you can just throw it in a deck, a lightning type deck probably because of the energy cost there, or maybe you're playing the luminous energy, I don't know, but I think this has a lot of flexibility to it that could be very important to some decks. So yeah, I really like this Luxray, and I think it could be a lot of fun to mess around with. Next up, we do have Pincurchin, 3 lightning energy, which is a lot of energy required. Needle Crush, 70 damage, discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. So, I do think there could be a, I do think there could be something fun with this Pincurchin. Since it discards energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, there's some energy disruption. I'm not a fan of the energy cost, but I think there's something here. It still allows you to play like Team Star Grunt, I think it's called, that lets you move an energy from their Pokemon on top of their deck. So that's 2 energy. Maybe you also play some Crushing Hammers. Pretty sure that's still in the format. And maybe you're able to get another energy discard, and you can really disrupt quite a bit. My biggest concern with this is that we do have a lot of energy acceleration currently. Lugia's got ways to accelerate a ton of energy. Arceus has a way to accelerate a lot of energy. Mew has a way to accelerate energy even. Like, there's a lot to accelerate energy. So discarding 1 energy really gonna make or break it? Probably not. But this is a card where you hold on to it for later, and at some point in the meta, things might switch where, 3 lightning energy, not too big of a deal, and discarding your opponent's active Pokemon's energy, could be a big deal. Although there's still Gardevoir to think about, who likes energy in the discard. You know, there's just stuff like that. And 70 damage isn't too high, but honestly, for a basic, you know, not exactly a basic legendary either, that's not bad. You know, throw on a choice belt, you're doing 100. Hitting for weakness, that's 200. That's pretty awesome. Let's see, we also got this Pincurchin here, which for a single lightning energy, stun needle, 20 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Paralyzation's good. Of course, it's on a coin flip, like it normally is. But the next attack, 1 lightning energy, static sizzle, 100 damage. You can use this attack only if this Pokemon used Stun Needle during your last turn. So the biggest issue with this is the fact that you have to use Stun Needle, and then you can use Static Sizzle. And then over 2 turns, you're doing 120 damage, and it's a coin flip on whether you paralyze between those turns or not. If you get the paralyzation, I think this is fantastic. I think Limwood Tangle would make this a fun deck on the ladder, but probably not anything too serious. But without something like Limwood Tangle that lets you reflip coins, I'm just not seeing a lot of hope with this card, sadly. Let's see. Next up, we've got Palmy. You know, one of the new Paldean Pokemon. Palmy, for a single lightning energy, just does 20 damage. That's not bad. Palmo, for a single lightning energy, also does 20 damage. I wish it was 30, just a little bit higher. Would have been nice, but oh well. 2 lightning, and you do 30. This attack also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. I do like that. 50 damage plus 30 to your opponent's bench. Once Manaphy rotates, which is like 2 years away, this could become a fun Palmo to play around with. But right now, since everyone just throws in 1 copy of Manaphy, and I feel like I've said this about some other cards, Manaphy just really hurts these decks, or these attacks. You know, hopefully they can work around it, or maybe Manaphy stops seeing play. I don't know, but right now I'm just not seeing a lot of hope for these style of attacks. And then we have Palmot for a single lightning energy, 40 damage. There we go. There's that escalation that I was hoping for. And then for 2 lightning electric fists, 100 damage. This attack does 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Again, I'm liking this attack, being able to hit the active and the bench. Just Manaphy is in the way. Next up, we have Tadbulb. Tadbulb for a single lightning energy, Thunder Wave, 10 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. Pretty awesome. We do have another Tadbulb here, which for a single colorless energy just does 10 damage. For 2 lightning, does 30 damage. I would go with this 50 HP Tadbulb personally for that chance at paralyzing. I always find that paralyzing is kind of worth that 10 HP sacrifice. I mean, I've seen matches, pretty sure there was a big tournament, might have even been a Worlds, where the whole match really depended on a Feroki's bubble coin flip, and that was it. So having that option in your deck is usually really, really useful. And then, of course, Tadbulb will evolve into Bellybolt EX here for 2 colorless Jump Press. This attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Pretty nice to be able to chase KOs with that. If you have something almost KO'd, you could Jump Press for it, unless Manaphy's in the field. Again, Manaphy, but this one can at least hit the active if you know you need to. We do have another attack for 3 energy, Paralyzed Ball, 160 damage. You may discard 2 lightning energy from this Pokemon. If you do, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. I love that, having some way to accelerate the lightning energy back onto it. Right now, a lot of energy acceleration for lightning goes to the bench, so you might want to play Switch and get out of the active, and then put up a free retriever like Cyclizar, accelerate that energy to the bench, and then put it back into the active. And I could see this being looped pretty easily, actually. So Bellybolt might actually be a serious card here. Being able to paralyze him just by discarding energy seems like a phenomenal ability. Honestly, Bellybolt, I love this Belly Bolt card. I might play around with it if I get the chance. Alright, next up we do have Watrel. And this Pokemon, it's hard to talk about this Pokemon without talking about the other Pokemon. So, Watrel, single energy, pack 10 damage, not a big deal. However, 2 energy, colorless, some Wings of Unity, actually I think that's been translated to Unity Wings. This attack does 20 damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile that has this same attack. And there are 2 other Pokemon that have this same attack. So if you can play 4 of each of these Pokemon, that's 12 Pokemon total. You get them all in the discard, that's 240 damage. How do you use the attack if they're all in the discard? Of course, the Ditto from Pokemon Go. I think Watrel and the other Unity Wings Pokemon will create a fun, I don't want to say rogue, but it's going to be a fun league deck. It's going to be something that people use, they bring, but it's not going to be something that's going to be ranking too high, in my opinion. But I would love to be proven wrong. I think this is a fantastic strategy and deck. I would love to see maybe one more Unity Wings Pokemon being released. Hopefully with the next set, Obsidian Flames, we could get one more, maybe one more different typing. I want to specify that is one of the best parts about this Wings of Unity deck is there are 2 types of Pokemon. Well, there's 3, but one's colorless, so you're not hitting weakness there. But Watrel is hitting weakness against Lugia, and Murkrow is hitting weakness against Mew and Gardevoir. And that is one of the best parts about this deck strategy is you are hitting weakness against 2 very popular decks. So being able to take some cheeky KOs that way could really set you up well. I believe Tricky Jim has already put out a video about this deck and everything, and I would recommend checking out that video because it was a lot of fun to watch. He was playing against a Gardevoir deck, so yeah, check it out. There is another Watrel here. Single energy, devastating wing. Your opponent shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. Could be a fun disruption type strategy. I'm not sure if you're going to be using this too much, but I will say if turn 1 your opponent doesn't have much to play, they just have an evolving basic on the field, and you have this Watrel, you might want to use that devastating wind to really mess up their hand so they can't get their evolution and explode on that second turn with a supporter or something. Also, it has a 3 energy, 40 damage. 3 energy, 40 damage on an evolving basic isn't terrible, but, you know, I kind of want, I don't know, 3 energy is just a lot on an evolving basic, in my opinion. Next up, we do have the evolution to that Kilowatrel, and for a single energy, 20 damage, no one really cares. But the 3 energy Jet Wing, 150 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. Pretty easy to work around the next turn this Pokemon can't attack, especially since it has free retreat. 150 damage is a good amount of damage. You throw in a Vitality Band, and you are 2-hit KOing most things in the meta. I think there might be some VMAXs that you're not hitting, but yeah, I think that's about it. I really like Kilowatrel. I think it's a cool Pokemon. 150 damage, I think, is a good amount. The 120 HP is a little disappointing, but like I said, that free retreat is pretty awesome. And yeah, that's all the Lightning Pokemon coming in Paldea Evolved. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite Lightning Pokemon in Paldea Evolved is. And yeah, if you have a deck idea for it, I'd love to hear about it. Already just reading through this, I have a couple ideas for a couple different Pokemon I'm real excited about. So let me know down in the comments, and go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel if you like what I'm doing here, and if you want to keep seeing every type, as we are going through every type, one video a day, each one about a different type of card in Paldea Evolved until the release of Paldea Evolved. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of those. And then join the Discord if you want to have more one-on-one interactions with me. It's a lot of fun in the Discord. Some really awesome people are there. And highly recommend you check it out. And of course, until next time, keep playing Jank.